Welcome to dinner party tonight from a different location. Today we are shooting the show in East Quogue, New York. If you have a house in the Hamptons, this is not considered the Hamptons by Hamptons people. It is on the South Shore of Long Island. It's a little town called East Quogue. Of course, the one day that we got everybody to come out here and shoot is basically gonna rain the entire day. But right beyond those leaves is the bay, which was supposed to be the beautiful backdrop, which you're not gonna get to see probably. Today's menu for a rainy day summer supper is going to be something called a Grand Aioli, but we're gonna make a petit aioli, which is basically a seafood platter, fancy seafood platter. And then we're going to have Panko crusted, or possibly not Panko, crusted fish. It's a secret to make crispy, chefy fish, different than the other fish recipes we've done. Then we're going to have grilled baby gem lettuce, and I'll explain the pronunciation later. Then we're also going to make something called Pommes, which if you speak French, you might think means Anna apples, but it's potatoes. It's a potato chip pie, and basically a 6-year-old child can make it, and it looks like Gordon Ramsay made it, okay? It's so easy, you'll die. Which leads us into a spectacular summer dessert, a Pavlova. This is a meringue base with fruit on top with whipped cream. You're gonna die. It's so easy and so gorgeous. So you guys were so kind about Leonard and checking up with me on his eye health experience. He is fully recovered. You may notice though that his right eye is a little bit cloudy, which is okay. It's a little bit of liquid trapped in his eye. It actually doesn't affect his vision. So he's come out of a very bad 8 weeks with flying colors. And I think we have to thank Dr. Sapienza at Long Island Veterinary Specialists for his amazing work and also his bolstering of mom during the experience. So Leonard, you made it, kid. We're gonna make a fabulous dessert called a Pavlova. It's very fancy. And it's extremely easy. However, I did have a fail yesterday, making the one for the show, of course. But it's the recipe's flawless. It's Mary Berry from Great British Bake Off, or formerly of Great British Bake Off, controversially. But the recipe is fantastic. And it has innumerable variations. I thought we'd make a cherry one. Basically, you're gonna use any macerated fruit that you feel like eating. Strawberries, cherries, pineapple, anything really, grapes, you could make it out of anything you want. This is a very easy, very fancy, very beautiful dessert. Here we go. Here's the ingredients to make a pavlova. Eggs, believe it or not, vinegar and cornstarch, which they bizarrely call corn flour, except that it is corn flour in a way in England. Castor sugar, the old friend of dinner party tonight, which is essentially granulated sugar ground in a grinder so that it's not confectioner's sugar, but it's not regular sugar. It dissolves more easily. It's more fine. It's like sands in the hourglass. Unlike every other single time you use eggs, when you make meringue, you want very cold eggs, which is unusual. Never cook eggs out of the fridge for anything from scrambled eggs to souffle, okay? Except for meringue, but you want cold, fresh eggs. So the first thing you're gonna do is take a 9-inch pie tin, or whatever you call it, cake tin. I bought recently from the absolutely unmatchable King Arthur flour, a silpat that has the drawing on it of the circle. But as usual, I failed to observe the dimensions of the silpat, and it's a full sheet pan. It's a professional one. Do you know how big a full sheet pan is? It's like this. So it's like hilarious that I have that. But anyway, Take this. You don't really need to do this, but it'll help you keep a nice shape. And you're going to draw a circle around your cake tin. We're going to separate eggs. We've done this before. It's really easy. Do not buy an egg separator. Don't buy any single-use kitchen gadget. Something that does one thing. Don't buy that. We're keeping the whites, and we're losing the yolk. Okay, and then I'm going to go like this, like that, and dump the yolk. It's wasteful, no doubt. I would always recommend doing this in a separate bowl in case you make a mistake and get yolk. You don't want it in your mixing bowl. So like if a little speck of yolk fell in there, in here, you couldn't use it. Don't be afraid of meringue. I did ruin one yesterday, but don't be afraid of it. It's very easy. Did you ever see that Monty Python thing, how to arrange flowers? Take some flowers and put them in a vase. That's the whole joke. So you put this in here, boom. Okay, we're gonna start whipping it. Now they want you to add 8 ounces of castor sugar. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 ounces is a cup. Now if you took a cup measurement, this would fit exactly in it. So we're gonna wait for this to whip up a little bit until it starts looking a little bit like meringue. In the meantime, I'm going to make what's called a slurry. And the slurry is made of 2 teaspoons of cornstarch and 2 teaspoons of white vanilla, vinegar. Okay, it's starting to go. 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. It should actually be not white wine vinegar, but it doesn't matter. Now what this does, which is kind of fascinating, is it creates a marshmallow texture in your meringue. You want to make sure this is kind of even, right? Pow. It looks like paint, kind of. Okay, that's ready. So now we're going to go back to this. You're going to whip this and you're going to add this bit by bit. Little by little, don't dump it in all at once. Little by little. What do they mean by stiff peaks? They mean you can hold it upside down over your head. You've seen it on how many cooking shows? So you see how it's smoothing out. The sugar is making it velvety. Don't do this on a humid day or, for instance, a rainy day, which we're doing it on. It will affect your meringue, actually. Years ago now, somebody on the show asked me why they always had a puddle in the bottom of their chocolate mousse of egg white. And I'll tell you why. It's because you over-whipped the eggs. And some weird thing happens, and the protein falls out, or I don't know, something happens. But that's the answer. It's because you over-whipped them. Okay, that's the rest of our sugar. I'm going to take a look at the whip. That's a pretty stiff peak, but I think it can go higher than that. Okay, I'm going to add our slurry. Yikes! Holy cow. Oh my goodness, the spoon dropped in. That's hilarious. Okay, this is quite stiff. I think it's ready to go. We're going to do it. There's no way it's going to drop. Here's a little trick. Put 4 little, when Mary does this, she does it so cute. Put 4 little things here, you know, because that's going to stick your paper in place. It's very chefy. Now you're going to create a Pavlova. Now what does that mean? It's a circular pie of meringue with a slightly depressed center. So the first thing we're going to do is put the meringue in a vase. Put the meringue in the center. That's a very nice meringue. I'm getting it all out because it's just easier to work with. All right, I think this is a little bigger than 9 inches. All I'm doing is pressing it into a circle. You can actually make the base days before you're going to fill it, and we'll obviously show you how you fill it. So I'm making a depression, just a little depression that's going to hold the cream. Try to make it as even as you can without having a nervous breakdown. What do you guys think? I think the depression is low and it looks okay to me. And then you're gonna go like this. Look, how pretty is that? Now you wanna kind of bend down the ones that have tiny peaks. And then you can go in between those, like this. It's almost like we know what we're doing. That's pretty fancy, right? Okay, here we go. It goes in the oven and immediately lower the temperature. So now it's in a 325 oven that's going down to 300. What you're looking for is it's going to become hard. And it'll start to get little cracks. Little cracks are normal. In fact, it's cute. You know what meringue looks like. You've seen it in a store. And it's hard. It should be able to tap on it. But don't tap too hard because you can crack it. Here's the big secret. When it's done, around an hour, 50 minutes, an hour, you turn off the oven and leave the Pavlova alone. Because if you allow cold air to hit the Pavlova, it cracks. If you put your hand here and the oven is still warm, don't take your Pavlova out. It should be cold. And when you take it out, you should be able to easily handle the baking tray. Pavlova, you'll blow your friends' minds. Wait until you see this thing assembled. You'll die. It's gorgeous and so fancy. In fact, you can pipe it. Now you saw the thickness of that meringue. You can pipe meringue. I haven't done it, but I know you can do it. Now Mary Berry, if you type in Mary Berry strawberry pavlova, if you scroll down the page, there's a thing called a Christmas pavlova or pavlova. They also say consomme, which I find totally bizarre. But anyway, the Christmas one is so gorgeous. It's like a piped wreath. And all around the top is macerated fruit. Reggie won't like this. Sugared with confectioner's sugar, or really castor sugar, so it looks like a jewel, like a Christmas decoration. The old ones that have the rough surface, you know? Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Maybe we'll cut to a shot of it. Look at this amazing garden. These are hot peppers, shishito peppers, peas. That's David. David is a designer of the entire property and the head gardener, farmer, and a ceramicist, and a very good paint by number guy. Potato flour. These are onions, radishes, which we're gonna pick today. Look what David did, you guys. These are the tomato plants, right? And then there's a salad amongst the tomatoes. Like there's a salad. And all you do is you just come with a knife and cut the salad. And the garden was built by Michael Birnbaum, David, Rolando, and his team. So this has been an incredible addition to our lives. This is Swiss chard. Check for bugs. What are you doing?
I'm hammering the staples into the fabric.
Did you bang your gavel? I did. It bangs me gavel. Can I bang one in?
That's all.
All right, let's quickly get some radishes because it's starting to rain again. What you want to do is you kind of push the leaves like this and you look for a good radish. That's a good radish.
Great.
Free food. And back we go to the kitchen. One of the elements of our Grand Aioli are sort of hard-boiled eggs. Super hard-boiled eggs are less beautiful than the eggs we're gonna make, which I call soft hard-boiled eggs. What you're gonna do is put however many eggs you want. Remember, 1 egg is 2 because it's sliced. We're gonna put 4 eggs in warm water. These are not from the refrigerator because you never use eggs from the refrigerator except to make a pavlova. So I'm putting the eggs in the warm water and I'm gonna put an extra one in case one breaks. Into that water, you wanna put a little bit of white vinegar. Don't ask me why, it stops it from cracking. You're gonna use your kosher salt, not your fancy salt. You're gonna turn the water on And you're gonna wait for a real specific thing, which is when there are definitive strings of bubbles coming up from the bottom of the pan. This is how I do it. You can do it your own way. Some people put it in boils. Figure out your own method, but you want the center to be creamy and soft, said the actress to the bishop. So what I do is I look for definitive strings of bubbles like this. And then I put my timer on for 7 minutes. And I can't find my phone, so we're gonna have to use my super chefy timer. Yes, it is the same one they use on MCTP UK. Master Chef, the Professionals UK. I've noticed something funny about England, which is that, the Norman invasion was a long time ago, but there's still this funny friction in pronunciation between English people and French people. For instance, they have a street in London called Beauchamp Terrace, right? But it's really Beauchamp Terrace, as in beautiful field. And they say Beauchamp. There's a palace called Bewsley, which is Beau Soleil, right? Take something simple like filet, right? Which is actually correct, but the English say fillet, because they refuse to pronounce it the way the French do. I'm probably totally wrong, but I think it's kind of cute and I love it. So those are flat bubbles, okay? Like there's a sheet of bubbles across the bottom. We are 60 seconds away. So now you see definitive strings coming up around the eggs. I'm now putting the timer on for 7 minutes. You want to turn it down because the act of boiling the eggs can crack them. They can hit each other. You want to keep a pretty hard simmer, but not blah, 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 because it will, they can bang into each other and crack themselves, sort of like relationships. Okay, it's been 7 and change because I might have put them in slightly early. I'm taking these out. I'm putting them straight into the ice water. Did you guys watch the Tyson Fury fight, of course? Fury Schwartz. Tyson Fury, man, he's my hero. He's my #1 hero in the entire world. He's the human being I would like the most to be like. I think he represents every great thing about being a human being. He was suicidal, 400-pound drug addict 2 years ago. And now he's basically the heavyweight champion of the world. But to hear him speak so beautifully and eloquently about his recovery from depression and anxiety is an unbelievable help to thousands and thousands of people all over the world. And I gotta say, Tyson Fury, there's only one Tyson Fury. So the eggs, this could be totally embarrassing. They could be completely overdone. But you should shell them right away. So you're gonna cool them in the water. This is totally handleable, right? And you're gonna crack it all over like this. Everybody's got a theory about how to do this. Basically, you just want to get to the membrane, and when you get to the membrane, it'll just peel perfectly off. And we will know in approximately 2 seconds whether we did this right. If this is a fail, so what? I'm going to rinse it in the water quickly. I put it here. It's a little overdone, but it's pretty good. The center is a little bit gooey. I'd prefer them a little gooier, but oh well. That one's better. See, this is why you do an extra. I mangled it because I was thinking about other things. So I'm gonna cut and put the good side and eat the other side. What's your cholesterol? I hope you know. Do you know if your good cholesterol is over 40, the American Heart Association, which is a pretty serious organization, says you are almost guaranteed not to have heart disease. Isn't that interesting? Mine happens to be 90. For a while when I was a kid, my good cholesterol and my bad cholesterol were the same, 90-90. Can you believe that? And then as you get older, there's nothing you can, it's really weird. You eat the same food and your freaking cholesterol changes. Explain that. These came out pretty good. These are more like crowd pleasing. The way I like them is a little bit intense. I like them quite runny. Almost if you tipped it, it might run out. Here's another secret about eggs. You don't want to, did I already say this? You don't want to boil super fresh eggs because they're much, much harder to peel. You want eggs that you've had for a couple days. Unless you absolutely have to. These are fresh, see? That's why the membrane is not separating. I don't know if you can see that. That's the membrane. Always wipe this. You know why? Because you'll get that on the white of the next egg. Ta-da! You can cover these with a slightly moist paper towel and put them in the fridge. Eggs for the Grand Aioli. Done, as Gordon would say. In your Grand Aioli, or petit aioli, or platter, is lobster. Now, I didn't show boiling the lobster because you literally take lobster and put it in boiling water. I buy tails, not forgetting that this is attached to a living creature that died for me to make this platter. But if you can find tails, these are Mongo. But if you can find tails, it's convenient because you only use the, well, I guess you could use claw meat, but the tails are good for the Grand Aioli. Fresh Direct has them, and there's a company called Lobster Graham that has a humane trapping system and stuff. It matters. If you're boiling it and you're gonna maybe soak it in a little butter before you serve it, 12 to 13 minutes, this size. This size, 14 minutes. You want it to be bright red. This one, I would venture to say, slightly underdone, but it's okay because we're gonna do, sort of toss them in a little butter. If you remember lobster puffs, this is kind of similar to lobster puffs. Not exactly, but it's similar. So how do you do this? I think we already did this on lobster puffs, but I'll show you again. You take a pair of scissors and you cut straight through and you pop out the meat. Okay? You want to peel back this piece to reveal the poo sac. I'm not going to lie to you, it's a poo sac. It's usually contained, there it is. If you can, pull it out intact. That was a very good one. You want it white, no poo sac, I'm sorry. I'm going to put a little bit of paper towel on the bottom here, and I'm going to put that there. This is a beautiful piece of lobster, perfectly cooked, I might add. I can tell by the feel of it. I'm going to sort of almost toss it in butter, said the actress to the bishop, and serve it with just a very light dressing of herb and lemon. That's not done, so I'm going to snip that off. Oh, you know what I want to talk about? Oh my God. Can we talk about me opening the mango? And then you're just going to kind of get rid of the skin. It's not that easy. I'm using so totally the wrong tool. I should be using a little tiny paring knife. So too late, I ruined them all, but it's okay. To say that I opened that mango incorrectly, as my mother would say, would be to say nothing at all. I mean, it's embarrassing. So if you want to go back and laugh at me, watch me cut that mango for the curry episode. Lobsters, as I've told you before, are the opposite of endangered. In fact, the reason why the price has gone down so much is because they're thriving. So really, it's a pretty responsible fish to eat. And I'm going to put that in the fridge until we're ready to assemble. This is baby gem lettuce. It's not romaine. It's a funny kind of lettuce that's really, really popular on MasterChef. I don't know why. Every year they have something that's really big. And this year it was baby gem lettuce. You want to take it down to that. Make sure it doesn't have any dirt inside. I'm going to dress this as if it was a salad, and I'm going to kind of leave it for an hour with the olive oil and salt and pepper on it. And you could even tear up a little mint and throw it on. And then I'm going to grill it. You'll see, it's gorgeous. You could do this in an oven, facing up under the broiler, but keep an eye on it. So that's what you want it to look like. Put this in a bowl with all of the hearts facing out so I can dress it. Cut off the stem. You know, because this you don't want. They're like crunchy sort of cabbage, I guess. But they make really good grilled salad. I mean, it's a tremendous waste. But this dish, you can only use these, unfortunately. So look, it already looks beautiful. And you're just gonna dress this really like you're dressing it to eat it now, okay? Olive oil, make sure it's got enough. You can put a tiny bit of vinegar like this, and salt and pepper. People love this, and it also looks beautiful around whatever you're making. It's a beautiful garnish around a roast chicken, lamb, or fish. So it's a beautiful accompaniment. I like to do this in advance, and I discovered it by thinking I was gonna do it and then leaving it till later, and they were better when I did this earlier. So there you go, ready for the grill. You can, if it really pours, it'd be hilarious if you film me grilling in the pouring rain. Okay, so we're gonna make something called Pommes. Let me tell you, I made this for David. Oh God, that was a good dinner. That chicken from Gordon's masterclass that Dave, whenever I say, what do you want, David? He goes, Gordon chicken. So he had Gordon chicken, Pommes, grilled, baby, gem, lettuce, and a Pavlova for dessert. Wow, what a meal. But anyways, this is the second time I've made them. You're gonna see me make them for the second time. It could not be easier. Little trick about potatoes that you want to be crispy. What you want to do is peel your potato. These are organic potatoes, they're very tiny. Get rid of any black spots. Ooh, it's got a big black spot. That doesn't look very good to me. Put this in cold water, just while you're peeling the other potatoes, okay? What that does is it washes a teeny little bit of the starch off. There's other preparations where you absolutely don't want to do that, but for something that you want to crisp, you kind of want to do this. And then you want to dry the living hell out of it before you slice it. And what we're essentially making, Pommes, is essentially a potato chip pie, right? France. I have a couple of wonderful French fans. Tony Stugard. How can we ever forget Tony Stugard? She made a banana tatin, not to be forgotten, in her very beautiful boat. I do love you guys, and I love your comments. And What's for Tea Kelly posted a photo of our lemon chicken that he made that looked out of a magazine, frankly. This is not good. Okay, you're just gonna kind of soak them for a little bit while you get ready the rest of your stuff. This is what you need: an oven at around 400, maybe 450, I don't know. Butter, salt and pepper. Now, once we do it, you'll see that there are myriad of variations on this. It's not dauphinoise, which is naughty potatoes we've made before. It's a thin, it can actually be this thick, but we're gonna make a thin one. Potato chips, soft potatoes. It's divine. But there's millions of variations. You can put different herbs, you could put pieces of bacon in it. I don't know, you could do whatever you want. Look, Conrad. Conrad's here too. I have a Conrad in New York City and a Conrad in East Quogue. So I'm kind of drying these a little bit intensely, okay? These are disappointing. Look at that. It's terrible. All right, these are dry for now. I'm gonna cover them in a paper towel so they get even more dry. Are you ready for this? Take some butter. Put it in a pan. Take more butter. No kidding. So the first thing you're gonna do before you slice is you're gonna fry this butter. Now I winged this the first time and it came out perfect. I'm just gonna let that melt and I wanna hear it make noise. You almost want it to almost noisette, which means brown, but don't let it brown. This is a mandolin, the dreaded mandolin. You remember the pictures I posted recently? Where I cut my finger, and I'm fairly experienced. So you want to be careful. And you're going to start slicing your potatoes, but you're going to re-dry them. Now, you want to do this fairly close to the butter because these will discolor. Beware the mandolin, beware the mandolin. You want it fairly small, smaller than a dime. I'm a little gun shy since the recent walk-in clinic visit. Sorry, folks, I leave that piece. If I worked in a French kitchen, they'd fire me, but it's too scary. So when the butter looks like this, you're gonna take it off the heat. Don't put it on the burner that you were using with the heat off. So you wanna do that. So what you're gonna do is you should make this look nice. So you're gonna layer it in this butter. Don't worry, you're gonna drain your pomme Anna after you make it, but it is gonna fry in butter. You wanna very lightly season it because you're gonna do a couple layers, okay? You don't wanna have too much salt or too much pepper. Now it stopped making noise, which is perfect. And I'm gonna do at least one more layer. You wanna just make this look as nice as possible, guys. This is the fancy part. Overlap it a little bit. So see how pretty that is? We're gonna gently season it and we're gonna turn the heat back on. Now, it's gonna start to fry. What you're looking for is when you can move the pomme Anna without it separating into little pieces of pomme Anna. You know, this isn't like a diet dish, okay? Kind of compress it while it's beginning to cook. And you're looking for two things. The pomme Anna to be a unit as the potatoes release their stuff, and for the bottom to begin to be brown. They're starting to stick. No, they're really sticking now. It's almost a unit. Ah, you see how it's a unit? See how it moves as one thing? You're gonna put it in a 425 oven. Here we go. This, you can put this in when you put your fish in. Your fish wouldn't be at this temperature, but you can make this and it can stay, I'll show you after you flip it and stuff. You can put it in a pan and just quickly rewarm it. So you could make it 45 minutes before dinner and just rewarm it, or you could throw it in, but the problem is your fish is cooking at a lower temperature, but you could probably do them in the same oven. But I would make it earlier and then just rewarm it, which is what I did for David, and it was great. So we'll see when they come out. This may not flip, I'm just saying. And incidentally, you don't have to flip it. You can simply turn it and serve it with the potato chip side up. You don't have to do this, but I like a challenge. So there's our potato chip pie. Oh, I think it'll flip. What's the best way to do that? Poop. Oh, it came apart. It's not perfect, but it's still gonna be delicious. Now we're gonna fry it again, back in the oven. That's too bad. You saw a fail, oh well. It's not a fail because it's gonna be delicious, but it should be a beautiful rosette, you know. I'm gonna leave them in until the bottom looks like it's as brown as the top. I mean, it's still beautiful, right? Is it, or is it, should we throw it out?
Don't throw it out.
Don't throw it out. We're gonna make this very extravagant platter. Now, it is extravagant. It's called Le Grand Aioli. You're supposed to serve it with aioli, but we're not. This is perfectly cooked lobster. You know what? Let's make it even more intense. Well, all we're gonna do is bathe it in melted butter. Can't go wrong. Squirt lime on it and put it on our platter. But in order to do that, I'm chopping a little bit of this lemon mint. I'm turning my chop like this, and I'm chopping it again. Every trained chef is going. These are some chives. So you line them up. You're gonna cut these kind of small. Think of lobster salad. You see, you can think of chives. Chives might be in there, right? Please send more pictures of your guys' work. I mean, our recipe or not. Here's what I'm gonna do. It might seem extravagant, and you know what? They don't need to see this, okay? I'm basically poaching it in butter, but only for a tiny amount of time because it's perfectly cooked. No joke. Okay, I'm just gonna heat this up. One of the things you can do is slightly undercook it, and then you finish it in the butter, rather than overcooking it, because overcooking it is a mistake. This is perfection. I've cut it in generous portions because people are going to sort of fork things off this plate. So what you're going to do is take your herbs because you're going to scent the butter. And here's a mistake I've made. I've made many. A mistake I've made is doing this and then putting it back in the deli and putting it in the fridge. Don't do that. You know why? Because the butter turns back to butter, you know, like in the stick. And it's like coated in big pieces of yellow butter. That's not what you want. You want a glistening coat. So all I'm doing is coating this a few times around in the dish, making sure it's glistening. I'm going to be honest with you, we could use a little more. So you see how it's shiny? It's got a gleam to it. You want to do this kind of not too long before you assemble, not long enough for this to re-solidify. A little bit of lime juice, turn it down. All right, the butter is noisetting, so I'm going to turn it off. And then you just leave it in here to luxuriate. But you want it to be room temperature when you assemble. Salt. That's it. So that's ready for assembly, okay? Let's proceed to the Grand Aioli. The best. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a pretty fancy appetizer that involves some expense. You've got lobster, scrimps. You know, it's not free. But it's suitable for a holiday or a meal like the one we just made for friends because it's a lovely sort of seafood crossover thing. You can also put charcuterie on here. You can put a dipping sauce in the middle, which you're supposed to, but I didn't do that. And basically, we're just going to make this look nice. Now, how do we do that? How do we make this look nice? Well, you're just going to use a little common sense. We're just going to put a teeny dot of mayonnaise on the bottom. Remember, never too studied, never too, like, rigid. But you want to keep things in areas. You don't want to mix it all up. I think that would look weird. But you also, you also don't want it to be like this egg, you know, it has to be somewhat playful. You're just going to put a little drop of olive oil on each one. A little bit of salt, specific. These are simply boiled shrimp. These have the tails, so don't forget to put out a shell bowl. I'm actually going to cut a little parsley over these after we dress them. We're going to put a tiny bit of vinegar, just a little teeny bit like this, so that they have a little teeny bite. A little bit of salt and a squeeze of lemon. Now, these are some quick pickled radish. So really, I'm sort of designing a delightful evening of eating. It's a nice thing to do for your friends. And if you're scared to do the shellfish, you kind of don't, you can do it with other stuff. I'm telling you, you can do it with charcuterie. I better put the lobster out, right? I mean, I don't even know if I have room for the carrots. Get the nice red pieces showing. It's up to you how you want to serve this. Like, we were just 2 seconds ago discussing if you serve it with little forks, or if you just spoons, or you want to give them little plates though. We have some pickled carrots here. I mean, can you beat this? I think I'm going to serve this at Christmas. Oh my God, where are we going to put the fennel? Do you you got to do for people, man. That's part of being a human being. You got to do for people. Sometimes nobody does for them, and you're the only person doing for them, and it means a lot. Can change somebody's life. Oh, that's good. Oh, the fennel is superb. This is a quick pickle, like I'm sure we've done it before. It's our pickle recipe. I used white pepper on the radishes. It's almost done. I just want to cut some parsley over it. Give me 1 second. So I'm also designing it kind of like a painting. It looks like it needs green on this side to me. And also parsley is really good with shrimps. Well, if you went to your room to wash your face, change your pants, you went out you got dirty in the garden or something, or you were working at your job, and you came downstairs and there was your favorite drink and this was waiting for you, what could you say except, thank you? Some people, it's actually quite beautiful. You put in the center a dish of green goddess or something. I haven't done that, but that's what the aioli part of Grand Aioli is. But I think it's just fine the way it is. It's a lot of tastes. I don't know if you need a sauce. I've also individually sauced, so I don't know. It could be super cute too. Maybe next time I'll do that. Maybe something slightly spicy, like maybe, not chipotle, but something like, almost like Tabasco-y or something like that. But this is a glorious, year-round phantasmagoria of tastes. I feel it with my hand, you see. It's still warm, so I leave it closed. When you make fish, one of the hardest things is to get a crispy skin. And some people don't even like the skin. In fact, that's their least favorite part of the fish. And some fish, you don't serve the skin, like halibut. You can put on the crunch to fish. You don't have to make the fish crunchy. So the way to do that is to put a little sort of pressed on crumb, basically, on top. And then you have instant crispy skin, even if the fish don't have any skin. It couldn't be easier. I've done it with whole fish now. I've done it the way we're doing it today. I've done it sous vide. It's just putting a crumbly topping on a piece of fish. You can make it as fancy or unfancy as you'd like. You can make your topping out of breadcrumbs. Do not get the Progresso or whatever breadcrumbs. It's like dust. Don't use those. Get a coarser breadcrumb, but not so coarse that it's like big croutons. You don't want that. Or you can use Special K. Believe it or not, you can use Special K, which we're going to use today. Hilariously, the first time I made it, I was watching some TV show, and they were doing it, and I was just about to press it on the fish when I realized by tasting it that it was Special K with a hint of cinnamon. Anyway, you can put this in a small food processor, or you can go to the bottom of the bag and take about that much. Actually, a little bit more. What do you want to do? Crush it. Seriously? That's what you're going to do. So go through the Special K and crush it with your hand. Michael suggested that you should use a food processor, and he's somewhat right. But I sort of like the rusticy crumb. I don't know. However, if I was going to do this really fancy, like for Christmas or something, I'd probably blitz it, because this is a little uneven. So you see it's like a somewhat small, somewhat medium crunch. Now we're just going to toast this, basically, in a little olive oil, salt and pepper, lemon, and chopped herbs. The herbs we're using today are tarragon, famous with fish, and mint, also very nice with fish and very sort of light and sumere. You ball them up like this, you dry them to death, and you ball them up like that, set them down, and chop them. This is called a chiffonade. Take your chopped herbs and turn it, and then chop it again. I think I'm going to put these in here. So you're going to toast them. You're not soaking them in olive oil, and you're not burning them. So what you're looking for is a toasty, darkish brown toast quality. So a little bit of olive oil. I didn't do it, but see how you should always do hot pan olive oil. Right, but I messed up. It's a big mess up day today. Let that get hot, because I didn't let it get hot. Don't take your eyes off this, because you can burn like 2 or 3 batches before you realize what you're doing. Never fear. A little salt, a little pepper. Let's use this awesome Japanese stuff. I always forget the name of it. Togarashi. Just a little bit, because it's kind of cute and it has black sesame seeds in it. So it's already toasting. You can already smell it, right? When I first made this for David, he goes, I said, do you like it? And he goes, you could put that topping on anything. We're going to give it a little squirt of lemon. See how it's very slightly changing color? So this is when I tasted it, and it had cinnamon in it. That was pretty funny. This is when you really got to watch it. See? Now I'm just basically drying it. I'm going to put 2 or 3 capers in here. Okay, so that's done. If you let it go, it starts smoking, which is not good. I'm just going to go ahead and open the door. So that's ready for your fish. So here's the fish. Today we went to Quogue, the incomparable fish market in Hampton Bays. We had a great time. We took some photos. And of course, we remembered to tip our fishmonger! Always check your fish, no matter how great your fishmonger is. You always want to check it. Make sure there's no scales or bones. This is a sea bass. Now you have options. This is very thin. That piece is much thinner than the other pieces. Okay, so that to me is a fillet, even though really you should cut off the ends, but it's okay. I've checked that. This is a little guy, he's okay. The reason why you do portioning is so that all of your meat cooks at the same time. Now, if you wanted to be super fancy, you would portion this probably like that. Like you've seen in little fish pieces stacked on a circle of something with a dot and drag of beet puree or something. Well, we're not doing that. We're simply going to put some olive oil on this, put a little salt and pepper on it, and grill it. You could really use the crust on any fish. If it has a skin, put it on the flesh side. If it doesn't have skin, you can put it anywhere you want. I mean, you could do everything from salmon to monkfish with this. It really goes with everything. Oh no, I wouldn't do sole. You know why? Yeah, that seems like that's common sense. You wouldn't do sole because it'll fall apart. It's extremely delicate. And same with John Dory, unless you're really good. But sole would just, when you put the crust on, it would just break the fish because it's extremely thin. So you just want to have something you can work with. But anything really, if you've got a big enough piece of sole, it would work too. So you're olive oiling. Only those in the know will understand why I have this blue thing here. Okay. I'm now just going to lightly salt and pepper this. The announcer for MasterChef, The Professionals UK, has a funny way of talking when he's announcing people's dishes. And I think what it is it sounds like every time he speaks, each word is the beginning of the sentence, like grilled, baby, gem, lettuce. I can't really do it. You're going to heat up your grill to light moderate. I don't know how you use your grill. If you have a stack of coals, I would push the coals, almost all of them, over to one side and put it on that side, like a third of your coals underneath it. And if you have a gas one, just use medium. And it takes about 3 minutes per side. With a fish this teeny, I would say approximately 3 minutes a side, but we shall see. If you don't own one of these, it's a fish griller, I would suggest buying one because it takes this thing away on the grill. You know, the truth is if you don't have a grill basket or something, if you're just using the lines, you better have a pretty big piece of fish because even a really good chef is going to break it. It's really hard. So you want to use this little basket here, which I'm going to liberally grease. Okay, I'm just going to lay this diagonally because it's quite long. And then these little guys, which will unfortunately cook at a different speed than the big one. Okay, we'll do it like this. I'm going to go ahead and just squirt a little bit of lemon on here. I do it all on the tin foil, and then I'm going to pick this up and put it in my trusty quarter tray. I'm ready to grill. Are you? Won't be the first time I grilled in the rain. This is nice and hot. Here we go. You want to be careful with this. I'm using this, it's not very good for filming, but it keeps a little bit of the moisture in. Whenever it rains, Pennies from heaven. Oh yeah. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. The opaque line is moving up from the bottom to the top. Okay, I'm just gonna gently pick up my convenient fish turner and turn it. This is totally unnecessary, but lovely. Okay, I'm just gonna get a nice color on that side and we're done. Bloom. Now we're going to grill the baby gem. Say it, Nikki, like it's one, each word is the beginning of a sentence.
Baby, gem, lettuce.
That's very good. This is chic. This is a very chic thing to have. You're gonna put these cut side down and you'll see how gorgeous they become. It's raining on me. Now look at this. Chic. It's a little bit soft and a little bit yummy. Ooh. Ba-ba-ba-da-da-da. Okay, in we go. You really want to be fancy. While the fish is still hot from the grill, I'm just sort of painting a little butter on it, which will make this stick. And then I'm gonna go like this. Gently press it on. Doesn't matter how much you lose. People are so scared of cooking fish. I'll tell you the number one secret's don't try to move it before it's ready to move. That's the mistake. It's kind of like a person. Don't try and force them into something that they're not ready for. Now you know you don't want even Steven, right? Now I'm just going to arrange grilled baby gem lettuce. This is something you can do if you're worried about crispiness. One of the reasons why people don't like fish, like I said much earlier, is that the texture is very homogenized, right? So this gives it a little bit of a interesting texture, you know? Fish with a crunchy crust with grilled baby gem lettuce. And this has been in the oven. We've reheated it and drained it on a paper towel. Oh, it's hot, 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 hot. Pommes Anna. So interestingly, both Pavlovas that I made, the one we made last night for beauty and emergency, and the one I made today, both cracked. Makes me wonder if it really does matter what the weather is. It's still beautiful, but it did collapse, which we're going to conceal with whipped cream. I'm just gonna quickly whip some cream. I'm not gonna put any sugar in because there's a lot of sweetness going on here. A little bit of vanilla bean paste. You'll be so blown away at how quickly this whips. Remember, don't do this in front of your guests. You can do this in the morning. So you want a lot of body, which this has. Oh, this is that one I told you about, the Breville. I think it's these. I mean, that's amazing how quickly that did it. Okay, I'm gonna show you taking this out. The oven is cold. It's still beautiful, but it did crack. So the first thing I'm gonna do is make an anchor for the Pavlova by putting a little bit of whipped cream in the middle, like that. Okay, here's the moment of truth. Can we get it onto the stand without it breaking? Okay, big crack. So guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna fill it with whipped cream. Nobody knows now. Just filling the very slight depression that you made, okay? Now this, you can flavor this with chocolate whipped cream. You can make one that has cherry flavored cream, strawberry, blueberry. Come on, right? Who can complain? Now, your fruit. You don't want to soak the Pavlova. So you want to keep the fruit on the whipped cream. And you don't want to put a ton of liquid in. So you kind of want to do this. Oh man, that looks good. Ah! You can make this days in advance, but you have to put it together right before you serve it because it will eventually just crunch down on the Pavlova. The bottom line is meringue is supposed to be slightly cracked, not this cracked. I would probably present it that way. Pavlova, the two I made yesterday and today weren't perfect. I guarantee you it's still a great dessert. And I've also made them completely perfectly. So experiment with it, have fun with it, and try and make one. Because it's pretty hard to beat the way it looks. And it's an interesting, unusual thing to have now. People don't make them so often. Today we made a beautiful early summer supper. We started with a Grand Aioli with radish and fennel pickles and beautiful lobster salad and shrimp and all kinds of lovely things and eggs and oh my God. Then we followed that with a crusted fish with a crunchy topping that we did on the grill and basted with butter. And then we had grilled baby gem lettuce, beautiful garnish and actually delicious. And we served that with Pommes, basically potato chip pie. And then we ended up with the magnificent cherry Pavlova. So guys, we shot an episode in Quogue. Hey! Today we had a fantastic time. We had a few mistakes that were all mine and proceeded forth and still had a great day. And we just want to thank you guys so much for watching the show. You've no idea what it means to us. And we would also like to say that although we love Brian, we were very sorry that Hightow couldn't be with us in Quogue because we know he was looking forward to it, even though we do love Brian as well. And we want to say to Paradise Lost, yes, you are correct. I was wrong. I said it without thinking that about the tahini thing. For some reason, Lynn is obsessed with the tahini mistake. So guys, please write in questions, comments, corrections, photos, like I said, ideas. We really do try to respond to everyone, and we definitely read everyone. And just thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from Lynn, from Nick, from Reggie, from Brian, and from Hightow, and from Dinner Party Tonight, and of course, Leonard. Now listen, what you guys don't know is that every time we make a show, there's a huge mess. And this person, Glenda,
hello,
helps us because you can't imagine what happens to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you enough. I really can't.
Thank you.